as we honor our country and community veterans for their service. Students and staff, thank you for the respect and honor you are showing these individuals by allowing them to visit us on this very important day. Today, you will hear about what Veterans Day is and why we celebrate it in our country. You will also have a chance to hear from a veteran from our community who has a very special tie to us here at CJHS, Crystal Cicenas. She's also very special to my family. My hope is that you come away from this with a renewed understanding and respect for the brave men and women who serve, people in our community and our country who have been willing to give of their time and life experience, and for some, the ultimate sacrifice, so we can live in a free nation. We are honored to have each of our guests here with us here today, and a special thank you to the 8th graders, Adelaide, Scarlett, and Nate, that will be assisting with our program. And now, at this time, please rise for the presentation of colors, and then remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. Thank you.
Color guard, prepare the color. Color guard, attention. Color guard, return to rings.
Good morning and welcome to Clinton Junior High School. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, World War I ended in 1918. Originally declared Armistice Day, the day celebrated and remembered veterans of the war to end all wars. After World War II and the Korean War, the day was renamed Veterans Day and celebrates those who have served our country and defeated democracy around the world. As the renowned American philosopher Albert Schweitzer once widely said, the purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. Today we gather to recognize the selflessness service of our veterans who have exemplified Schweitzer's words through their dedication to our great nation. We stand here to recognize the immense sacrifice and unwavering commitment of our veterans who have upheld these values throughout their service. As well as we honor these heroes, we also acknowledge the responsibility we bear in carrying forward the ideals they have fought to preserve. This occasion is a reminder that the freedoms we enjoy come at a price, and it is our duty to remember and express our profound gratitude to those who have served. Thank you for joining us as we reflect on the invaluable contributions of our veterans and inspire our students to follow in their footsteps, serving our community, our nation, and community at large. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Logistics Specialist Chief Petty Officer Cicenas has lived a life of service that spans nearly a quarter-century in the United States Navy. Born and raised in Central Illinois, her journey has taken her to numerous duty stations around the world. Throughout her remarkable career, she achieved a remarkable list of awards and distinctions, showcasing her dedication to duty and excellence. Cicenas was born in Central Illinois and graduated from Stephen Decatur High School. Her entry into the Navy marked the beginning of a lifelong commitment to service. Joining the Navy gave her an opportunity to travel and see different corners of the globe while serving. She served for 24 years, providing active duty and reserve and retired in 2020. Chief Cicenas' service took her to various duty stations around the world. She has been stationed or trained in 10 different states, 2 U.S. territories, and 6 countries. In addition, she had the opportunity to visit 11 additional countries. Her duty stations included Combat Store Ship USS White Plains, Guam, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 4, California, Japan, Puerto Rico, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 25, better known as the CDs, in Afghanistan, 31st Naval Construction Regiment, California Naval Operations Support Center, Decatur Operational Hospital Support Unit, Bethesda, Maryland Expeditionary Medical Facility, Great Lakes, Camp Lemonnier, and Africa. Cicenas' service is exemplified by the impressive list of awards and honors she received throughout her career, including CD Combat Warfare Specialist, Information Warfare Specialist, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medals, Afghanistan Campaign Medals, National Defense Service Medals, Global War on Terrorism Service Medals, NATO Medal, Army Achievement Medal, and the Armed Forces Reserve Medal. Logistics Specialist Chief Petty Officer Cicenas lived a life filled with service and dedication to her country. Her long list of awards and honors is a testament to her unwavering commitment to excellence. Please welcome her to CJHS.
So, hi, I'm Crystal Cicenas. I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer, and thank you for the introduction. I appreciate everybody that's here, our veterans, our students, our staff, for putting this all together. I know it's always a pain to change up routine here at school. All right, here we go. Our military, as big and mighty of a world power that we have, it's a very small group of individuals compared to the community at large. This is different than many of our wars, where there were more of our population active in the military. The world wars, Korea, Vietnam, Civil War, and many others. Our current U.S. population is around 328 million people. Of that, women make up 50.8%. Of the current population, of less than 2% are currently serving in the armed forces across all of our branches: the Army, the Navy, the Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and the Space Force. We have less than 2 million men and less than 400,000 women. And looking at as a demographic, I couldn't get this to go into decimal points, but it's less than 2% of men and less than 1% of women that are currently serving in the military. There's a timeline that I wanted to go over. I want to talk about some of the women in the military because we are such a small percentage that women have been serving in the United States military since the United States has been around. In 1775, women had been part of our military service since the Civil War. They followed their husbands and sons into battle. They worked in the laundry, cooks, seamstresses, as secretaries, and any other job that they could find. In 1782, this woman on your right, her name is Deborah Sampson. She served for almost 2 years in General Washington's army, disguised as a man. After being wounded, her gender was finally discovered. She was later discharged and honorably at that, and later she received a pension. This was unheard of, and still unheard of for years and years after this. There were many people that wanted to fight. They wanted to help our country. Many young men, they would lie about their age. They would be as young as you in this room, and they would say they were 18 just to be able to go. In 1917 and 1918, during the last 2 years of World War I, women were allowed to join the military. There were 33,000 women that served as nurses and support staff officially in the military. And then in 1944 and 1945, during World War II, more than 400,000 women, administrators, nurses, and non-combat roles were all serving. And of those, 88 women that were put on record were captured and held as prisoners of war. But it was not until 1948 that Congress passed the Women's Armed Service Integration Act, granting women permanent status in the military and subjects to military authorization and regulations entitled to military benefits. And even 20 years later, military husbands were awarded the same rights as military wives in 1972. This is your parents' and grandparents' age. In the 1990s, this is my age, training manuals and videos all have the pronoun he and him as the primary, if not only, pronouns for it. He would go here, they would, Now this woman here, Rosemary Mariner, she was the first female USN fighter pilot that was allowed to fly in combat missions. This was not until 1991. Years earlier, women were allowed to fly supply planes into combat zones. They were flying all over the world years and years before that. But Congress did not pass it. The United States military did not pass it that said that they were allowed to fly flying fighter pilots in fighter planes. And then in 1993, women were allowed to fly or to serve aboard U.S. combat ships. This is my first ship. It's the USS White Plains. It was decommissioned. They turned it into mothballs, and I believe it was taken to Hawaii. I'm not sure what happened to it afterwards. But this combat supply ship, I joined it in 1994. So just a year after women were allowed to serve on combat ships, this was my first ship. And then in 1994, women were first allowed to join CV battalions. They were allowed to join CVs prior to this, for years and years prior, but the battalions, the ones that went overseas on 7-month deployments and then could be deployed into war zones, they were not allowed until 1994. I joined Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 4 in 1995. So I was one of the first. I didn't realize that it was such an issue to have women in these places, because I grew up like you guys. I went to school with boys and girls. It didn't dawn on me that there should be differences, that we were not all equal, and that women didn't have the same rights. Now, many of our veterans did not see direct combat, but they knew someone close to them that had. Everyone has a story, and that is their own. Everyone had their own obstacles to overcome, and some of those paid the ultimate price. Some of it was just the unknown. They did not know what was going to happen the next day or the next week. Some knew what was going to happen, and that was either a fear or a blessing. And then there were many times, many of the people in this room, especially those sitting over here, they missed a birthday, they missed anniversaries, they missed holidays, graduations, and so much more. We wrote letters. There were phone calls and messages, and depending on the time period, how much of that we were able to do and how quickly it got to us. Care packages were enjoyed, especially when they could be shared. This is a care package I received from my son's grade school class. Each of the students drew a card for me, and the teacher laminated it together to make a quilt, and I hung them on doors so that way my friends could see them as well and read what they wrote. I urge you, if you have a veteran in your family or church group or just know one, ask them for some time to sit down and discuss. I'm sure they'll have a few stories to tell. They may not want to tell you right then and there, but they'll come up with some time. Now, being equal does not always mean the same. It means having the same equal opportunities, the same rights, dignities, and benefits. It took women of strength and character to throw down the flag on our gender and differences so many years ago and to start the evolution of equality in and out of our armed forces. Now, a real quick bit about my history. So my last few years in the Navy, I worked in an expeditionary medical unit. We were pop-up hospitals, kind of looking like this. We could put one of these up in about 72 hours and have it fully operational. Now my job, I was a supply person. I went through and I made sure they had all their material and things like that. I helped make sure that people had places to sleep, and I made sure that they had food to eat. But I worked with the doctors and nurses. This is a place where when people came in that were wounded or hurt, they would bring them in, figure out what was wrong with them, and then figure out which part of the hospital they would go to. So this was more up my alley. So this is a mailroom for the military. There's a couple of different spots. Things would come in these bright orange bags. They'd be full of packages and things like that. They'd be sorted into shelves and things, and then, or areas. Sometimes I would have great big huge boxes. They'd be full of stuff for my units. And then I would divide them into smaller categories and then smaller categories. And then one person would come up and pick up mail from their department. So it'd be like picking up mail for an entire classroom. And then once you get it into the classroom, then you sort it down from there. We train our replacements. This is one of the jobs that you don't hold on to the same job for 20 years. We do different jobs all the time. So this is a picture of explaining to some of the other people that we work with what our personal jobs were and how we did them, so that way when they have those particular jobs, they can do them better. This is called an after-action report. And so what they were doing is they completed an activity, and then afterwards, and this is kind of like after testing, where the teacher will sit down with you and say, okay, let's go over the test and explain why answers were the way the answers were. So that way when you see it again in a later chapter or at a later time, you're like, oh, that makes more sense now. Instead of just looking at the grade and going, oh, I got a maybe 2%, and then just kind of, dealing with it there. But actually understanding the why behind it. Because in the military and the armed forces, we need to know why something happened the way it did. So in these hospital situations, if we have a better way of handling something than what we just did 10 minutes ago, we need to know that. We need everybody else around us to know that, and the next group of people coming in to know that as well. So that's why we take our training so carefully. We spend more time in the military doing classroom environments or doing physical activities to actually learn how to do our jobs than just about anything else. Now this particular scenario, this person here is in a C-collar because they just had a vehicle accident. So this is the training environment. There's a couple of doctors there and there's a couple of nurses. And so they're trying to figure out the next step to do, and they're talking it through so the people that aren't as qualified can also learn how to do it. And then on your left, that is a mannequin, and this place has 120 mannequins with all different wounds, so that way the medical can train on the different wounds without using an actual person and accidentally hurting them. And then here they are doing another after-action report and figuring out what's the best way to do something or what they did great. And again, we train. We do a lot of training. There's a person up there explaining how we're going to handle traveling from one place to the next on this one. And then we always want to remember our forefathers and our foremothers and how they helped us overcome the obstacles that we have, and to recognize that there is more of an open road than we've ever had before, and we are always stepping forward on that road. And again, it is not equal, but it is getting closer and closer towards that. We have the tools to help us overcome obstacles. There are no limits to where we go, how we impact a positive future, or how we are equally, yet we are all different than the next. We don't give up, we find a way, a different way, and if that doesn't work, we find someone that can help us find a different solution. Knowing that we don't have to come up with a solution or alone, that lets a lot of the weight off of us. We might we need to learn a new skill or become better at the one that we already know, but that's okay. Sometimes we have to go in an entirely different direction. Be proud of who you are and who you will become. If you have an ability to become something great, that is absolutely amazing. So a quick picture of my ship. This was an obstacle I overcame. They gave us an opportunity to fly in the helicopter that our ship had, and that was a long way up in the air. But I got a really cool picture of the ship. When I talk about obstacles, being with the Seabees was a big obstacle. They were not used to having women, so they decided that for our showers, that they would have an hour a day for the 40 of us to take a shower. But they forgot that we were all on different shifts, we worked in different departments, and we had different sleeping schedules. So that had to be modified. When I was in Afghanistan, I worked in a supply room. I was in charge of material and things coming through, the Afghans did not care for working for women. So they would go to the men that worked around me, and whenever they needed to drop off deliveries, and they kept telling them, no, we needed to talk to this person here, this chief. And they're like, no, we need to talk to a man. So their obstacles was to actually be able to come and talk to me. So that was a very interesting situation in itself. These were our drivers in the vehicles that we rode in while we were over there. And our 6 branches of service. Now, military and school does have parallels. We're always learning. Our learning process never goes away. It's a never-ending circle. We are the student, the teacher, and then the student again. In sports, we can learn a position, then move to another, which we have to learn, but then we teach and remember that position. Sometimes we become an assistant coach, a coach, and then we move forward again. In the military, we are the student, the instructor, the student, and instructor again. In life, we are a child, a parent, and as our parents grow old, we parent our parents. We learn new things that we never even knew existed before. We learn things about ourselves that were closed tight before, and now we are willing to open them. I leave you with these final thoughts. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to take things out, but find a safe person to talk to about them. If you see someone that's not their usual self, and you're okay with approaching them, go ahead. If not, find a safe person to let them know. Saying hello, or smiling, or even a nod in the hallway can go a long way. And as our scouts say, do a good turn, baby. These are all things we do as brothers and sisters in the military. This is what keeps us going and pressing on. And thank you for allowing me to share in this event with you.
At this time, our choir will be performing a medley of each branch's respective service song. We would like to ask our veterans to please stand during their branch's respective song. Please hold all applause until the end. Thank you.
To
And now we will observe a moment of silence, and then please remain standing for the retirement of the colors. And now our auxiliary, the American Legion Post 103, will retire the colors. You may be seated. I would again like to express gratitude to staff and students who have contributed to this assembly today, and then again to send a warm thank you to all of the families and our veterans that are here with us today. This does conclude our Veterans Day Assembly. I would like to dismiss our honored guests first. Students, please stay seated and remain quiet as our guests exit the gym. Students, I would like to express my gratitude for you demonstrating the honor and respect that we talked about this morning in our announcement. I'd like to go ahead and have that show of hands again. While you're in your classrooms, I ask if you were connected to any form of service member, even if they served before you were born. Can you raise your hand, please? Look around this building. We are all connected. And then the second question, go ahead and put your hands down. If you have someone currently serving in the military, can you stand up, please? And give your peers a wave. And the rest of us, please say thank you. Awesome.